Okay, so today we are going to be talking about going 3D on your artwork. So that is rising up off the surface and having some lumpy bumpies, right? We've done before and are in my previous shows. And if you're on Whatnot, they stay for 90 days out on the past shows. If you go to my profile, but if you're on YouTube, you can go to my live tab and then you'll see the shows, all the shows that I've done that I've saved to YouTube in there. And so I've shown you before how to use something called modeling paste. This is modeling paste. It is a white acrylic that you can color with other acrylic colors, and it gives you um, a raised edge or a raised design. And so I've already done that workshop. It is out in my past shows. Um, Today, what we're going to focus on is a super cool product that I use a lot in my artworks. I mean, a lot, because you know what? It works. It's professional grade, and that's what I like about it. I like to use things that aren't going to crack or aren't going to fall off in the future, right? And so, especially because I sell my artwork, so I want the products that I'm using to be good and will last a long time. So, what we're going to be working with today, let me give you a full tube view. We're going to be working with something called CERN Relief. This is a Pebeo product. As I mentioned before, I have worked with the Pebeo. Well, I do work with the Pebeo paint company. And so they have given me some of these tubes of three-dimensional paint. It is water-based, so it's super easy to thin it out with a little bit of water if you need to, but I like the consistency that it is. It's a paste consistency when it comes out of the tube like this. And what I love about the tube is that it allows you to do line work or drawing with the tube. And just like last week, I had shown you the glue, the gilding paste glue, right? That's inside this tube. It's the exact same type of tip there, which means you can cut the tip if you want a thicker line that's in here. So this is what the tip looks like right here. And what I love about this tip is that there's already a hole in it. I've had people say, how do you get those thin lines when you're using that? And I said, oh, you cut the tip, didn't you? They said, well, yeah, don't you have to cut the tip? And I said, nope, it already has a hole in it when you buy it. So that's what gives you thin lines if you want to put detail into your artwork. And I'll explain the types of surfaces you can use it on in just a few minutes. But if you want a thicker line, you can cut this down further and further and further. And then with the same pressure squeezing it out, you can get a thicker line. It just depends on what application you're using it for. Hey there, Garth17. Welcome in, welcome in. We are talking today about going 3D on your mixed media artwork. And so let me talk about the surfaces that this kind of paint will work on. It was originally developed to give you those beautiful lines to look like stained glass, like the metal that you would use in stained glass, because it was developed to go along with a liquid oil paint that is transparent. So it actually gives you the effect of stained glass. And then, of course, artists being what we are, we love to experiment. What if I do this? What if I put it on that? What if I do that with it? And so artists discovered and shared with the world and with me that you can use this, what I'm going to call an outliner, but you can use this outliner paint on glass. You can use it on plastic. You can use it on any sealed metal, but any sealed non-porous surface. Okay. Now you might say, but Tristina, can you use it on paper? And the answer is you can use it on paper, but that paper must be sealed before you can use it on the paper. So the paper needs to be non-porous. And that's actually what I've done for today's giveaway. So if you stay through the show, through the workshop, And then at the end of the workshop, I do a giveaway. And today's giveaway is, hey, I probably have a tube of this too, so I'll have to add that. I didn't add that yet. Um, but this is the piece that I did. Um, and so you might say, but Tristina, that's on paper. Yes, you can use these paints on paper, but notice that the area where I put the paint has been sealed with that green background, which is a layer of acrylic paint. So acrylic paint is a plastic, it creates a film and it seals the paper. So as long as you have sealed the paper, you are good to go to put these outliners on top of the sealed paper. So that's what I did here. Now, I've experimented in the past with putting these outliners on directly onto paper. And what happens is, because there are fibers sticking up like this, if you rub over that outline, it will rub right off. It'll take the paper with it too. So that's why you have to do something like seal the surface first. So here I actually used two colors. I used the gold, so this is the plain gold, and then I used the copper in there. And then inside these leaves right here, you see the glitter that's in there? Oh, so I used the glitter one right here. Um, the thing is, you don't have to just use it for outlining. In a pinch, if you have this and you need some gold somewhere on your piece, on your artwork as you're working, you can grab that tube and squeeze out, unscrew the top, squeeze out the paint, and pick it up with a brush or a palette knife and put that on your artwork. So that's actually what I did here. In this area up here, I squeezed out some copper. Here I used the copper straight from the tube, right, to make that outline. But in this area up here, I squeezed the copper out onto my palette paper and then picked it up with a brush and put it where I wanted it so that it's flat instead of being raised like these lines right here. Can you see how that's raised up? Yeah. And then that's exactly the same thing that I did here, where the sparkle is. And y'all, the sparkle that comes out of this, the one that has glitter in it, it's like if you want to do a butterfly or you want to do, we're going to work on a dragonfly. And so when you take that on a brush and put it on the wings of your dragonfly or your butterfly or angel wings, oh my gosh, the clear with the glitter is amazing. And so that's what you can see right here is there's glitter in there. And I also picked that up with a brush and put that on the painting. So there are many different ways to use it. Let me show you a few more pieces that I am. Well, this one I didn't make. This a friend of mine made named Micheline. So anybody from Pebio will know Micheline. She's awesome. She used to work for Michaels and did a lot of design work for Michaels, meaning designing projects and things for Michaels. She's extremely talented. And so she did this, which is on a tile. So first she painted the tile. And of course, tiles are sealed, right? They're non-porous. So this would be the porous side. I wouldn't put it on this side, but this side of a tile is non-porous. So you see all the beautiful detail work she did here. And then she was able to pour some paint right inside those little wells that were made by these outlines. So that's another way. So besides the glass and the plastic and the metal, there's a tile you can do it on. All right, and lastly, let me show you this example that I did. And this is actually on a piece of plastic. So this is a cheapo frame, and I picked it up somewhere, probably the church for 10 cents or something like that, and it had a piece of plastic in it. Well, look at what you can do. You can make something beautiful on that piece of plastic. And I put this in my window so the light shines through the transparent parts. Oh, nice. Yeah, thank you, Salmon's Girl. And then I used some opaque paint here and some transparent paints in these areas, but I could have done the whole thing kind of like what do you call that? A sun catcher? So you absolutely can use this outliner to make your outlines on a piece of plastic or glass and then fill it with a transparent paint. Even if you have a transparent glass paint of some sort, and there are lots of them out there, you could fill those little wells like I did here with the transparent glass paint. Actually, this area right here is kind of transparent. This is the back of it, so you can see where I did the outlines and then I filled it in. Hey there, Annie Carter, welcome in, welcome in. And so this is, and I'm telling you, it's a cheapo piece of plastic, but you can make something cheap look gorgeous, right? By knowing what products to use on top of it. So, and then right here is my signature. That's a capital T and a little E, that way, I guess. And so that I sign a lot of my art pieces with that, with the CERN relief because I like the fact that it's raised up. Do they make larger tubes? What size is the tube you have? Critter Chops, excellent question. These are a 20 milliliter. I don't know if you can see that or not, right here, 20 milliliter. And they also come in a 37 milliliter. Now, the 37 milliliter tube, I personally have only seen in black. I might have seen it in gold as well. Because the gold, I mean, the gold and the black are the two that sell the most, but there's silver, copper. There's another kind. This is a pale gold that has kind of a green tint to it. It's almost like a bronze color. Um, and then the transparent with glitter, as well as the transparent. So I believe in total there are 11 colors. And I was asking for white, and they gave me a white tube to test it one time, and it was fabulous, and I loved it. But I don't know if they've actually come out with white. But you know, we want like incredible white, right? An artist always is looking for that perfect white to use on top of the colors that they put down to really make everything pop. But I don't know if the white is available yet. Cost range, good question, Critter Chops. What I've done is on my website, and if you don't know my website, it's right here. Just go to Dietz Art. So that's like the word diet with a Z on the end, art.com. And on that website, if you go to the menu item called supply links, then you will find, and when you scroll through there, you'll find the CERN relief because I did put it in my website yesterday or the day before, the links for that. So you just go in there, you click, and boom, they'll all come up for you. And then that way you'll see what the price ranges are. They're quite reasonable for what you get out of it, in my opinion. Oh, I've bought so much of it over the years because I love the effect that it gives both on top of mixed media artwork as well as to create these wells like this in order to fill with fluid paints. They're just scrumptious. You're gonna have so much fun. Let me find somewhere to put these so they don't fall down, which is typical, right? Normally when I'm working, you hear crashes, crash, crash. Oh yeah, here's a piece that I showed, I think last week, and it's an in-process mixed media piece. So you can put this, here's some of the gold, and here's some, I wanted to make it look like stitches down the side of the page here, and some swirlies, and I will use these because they're raised up and they have a relief. I will use it at different stages within my painting. So this piece is not done, and there's some paint in here that I put right over top of that texture. So that it's called a relief, meaning it's up off of the surface of the page. And I could do it as my last part of the design, or I could do it anywhere along the design process. And it just becomes texture, not necessarily the color. So you just grab whichever tube you have. If you want to go ahead. Oh, hi there. Arthur Monk is over on YouTube. Welcome in, Arthur, and thank you for your comment. Nice wells, meaning when you make those sections with the outliner that you can then fill in with your fluid paints. And so something like this, there are multiple layers, and I don't care if this still looks gold when I'm done. It's going to give you physical texture if you were to run your hand over it, even though I might put other acrylic paints over top of it. Now, because it is I'm not sure if it's an acrylic base. I believe that it is, and it is water soluble. It will repel like a watercolor kind of thing because, right, doesn't, if you've put a bunch of acrylic paint onto a surface, even a paper surface, the paper then begins to repel water because acrylic is really a plastic. The acrylic polymer is a type of plastic, so it will repel water at some point. Um, and so I don't necessarily recommend putting this with watercolor. All right. And that's also because, as I already discussed, about the whole idea of putting it on directly on paper is not always a good idea. What I do, though, if I want to put it on a surface, like the paper surface, I either make sure that I've put some sort of paint over it, like I did with the card that I showed you here. So that is acrylic paint in the background before I put it on top of there. Or you can use, and I've shown you many times, and also the links are available on my website, gel mediums. So you can use any brand of paints medium, whether it's the fluid medium or the gel medium, like this is out of a tube. Most of the time I use the gel medium, but the whiteness is actually just the acrylic polymer when it is wet. When the acrylic polymer is dry, it is clear. And so I take this and I just either use a brush or a palette knife and cover the paper and let it dry. And then that seals the paper. And then I can go on top of it with my outliners. Now, if you seal the paper is then not good for watercolor. You can use fluid acrylics. Fluid acrylics will stick to acrylics. But in terms of watercolor itself, it's not, it may bead up on the surface and the color will not be stable, okay, if you sealed your paper with an acrylic medium first. So if you can use these on top of watercolor, if you do your watercolor and then you spray seal the watercolor, right, with a UV protectant or something, you've sealed the watercolor, and then you use a layer of acrylic seal over top of it after, and then that way that makes the surface of the paper sealed, and you could go back onto it with these outliners to do line work or other work on top. Okay, so if you're a mixed media artist, you're going to figure out a way, right? We always have to figure out a way to make it work. Make it work. All right. Real quick, I'm going to show you what we were working on last week and the artwork that was part of last week's workshop. If you're interested to see what happened and when we're afterwards. So this was a gilding fluid that I showed you to use with metal leaf, and then this was a gilding paste that I showed you how to both squeeze out of the tube, or that you could put it on with a palette knife through a stencil. So this is what, let's see, which one did I do last week? I don't remember which one. I think it was this one. So this was where I showed you how to use the mirror leaves. So this is like a transfer foil here. And so this one, I wanted to show you that I finished those pieces of artwork. So again, this wants a sealed surface. So what did I do? I put it, that sizing I put on top of an area. This is paper, but I put it on top of an area that had acrylic paint in the background. Okay. So thank you, Salmon's Girl. Salmon's Girl says, ooh, love it. And so there you can see, right? Oh, they look so much better in person, y'all. So much better because they're so shimmery, and it's very hard for a camera to pick up the shimmer. So this one, I made the three of them as a series, and you can see this one says party, and then this one says terrific. with some of my doodles down there. And then this one says Brutiful, and that one has the green. So these are now finished pieces of artwork from last week that we started last week. And I did want to show you that they come available with either a black mat or a white mat. And they are, if you're on Whatnot and you go into the little house at the bottom of the screen, they are available for sale in the buy now. So this is an example of what this one, which says Beautiful, would look like if you wanted it in the black, or here it is in the white. I like the drama of the black, but hey, you never know what someone's decor is. So that's why I make it available in either the black or the white. There you go. But I love the shimmer of the mirror foil and the metal leaf. Fantastic. So, oh, and this is the character for tea in Japanese. Tea, at least in China, where I lived and I grew up, is cha, cha. And so that's the Japanese character also for cha. All right, let me put those away, but I did want to let you know that those are now available to purchase in the Buy It Now on Whatnot. And if you are on YouTube and you would like to come over to Whatnot and to see the items that I have for sale there, then on YouTube, there is a QR code toward the top of the screen that you can either use your phone to scan, and that will open up the page, or if you go into the description in YouTube, then you can click on the link in there and it'll bring you over to Whatnot. And the cool thing is, Whatnot gives you $15 to spend on my show or any of the other amazing shows that are going on Whatnot. Okay, so I remember when I joined Whatnot and I had that $15 to go spend. Man, it was burning a hole in my pocket, right? I couldn't wait to go spend it, but I got some really cool stuff on Whatnot for that. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we are going to go over top of the table. Fantastic. If you go after the fact, you want to share the show with a friend, when you go to my YouTube channel. So here is my YouTube channel. But if you go to YouTube and you just type in Tristina and art, you'll find me, because I'm the only Tristina art that's out there. Okay, on YouTube. And all right, let's move this out of the way, and we are set up and we can get started on the demo. So again, here are the tubes we're going to be working with. Actually, I have a little baggie here that has a bunch of them. I didn't even get a black one out. Let's see. Here's a black one. Okay, there you go. There's the black one. That's the 20 milliliters tube. So we'll work with that. Actually, we have 3 golds. We have your regular gold, your the one called pale gold that looks kind of like bronze almost, and then rich gold, which looks almost like an antique gold. And then, oh yeah, here's the large tube. Look at that. That Critter Chops was asking about earlier. That's the 37 milliliter tube right there. And so that's a big old honkin' silver one right there. Look, I have a big old honkin' copper one too. So yes, they're available in the larger sizes. And you can see, look at that. Look at that. I've used most of that up. It may be dry already on the inside because I've had it for so long. Okay, now something with these, I mentioned to you earlier about the tip already having a hole in it, right? The tip of this, when you get it, already has a hole in it. Now, when you get one fresh, I don't think this one's fresh. Let's see. Oh, it is fresh. Awesome. When you get a tube fresh, look, it is sealed. Can you see that? It keeps the tube fresh. Now, there is on very rare occasion where you get a tube and let's say you mail order it and it comes to your house and it's hard, like it's hard, and you cannot get it out and you can't puncture it. The reason for that is it got frozen. And if it gets frozen, it gets hard. So you just let the vendor know that you purchased it from that it must have been frozen because it's, you know, rock hard, and could you get a replacement for it? But if you get it and it's a good tube like this, and the top is sealed like this, you just unscrew the tip, and you're going to use this black part with so it still has the cap on it to puncture it and open it. Let me see. Maybe there's a color that's not open yet. Let me see. Here is, nope, see, this one's already open. You can see the color there. Okay. Let me see if this pale gold is. Okay, let's do the pale gold so I can show you the colors. Because, hey, this one's going to come out white and it's going to dry transparent. And the same with the glitter. It's going to come out white, but it's going to dry transparent with glitter. Yes. Okay, so here I have the sealed top there. I'm feeling it, and it's pliable, which means that it has not gotten solid. And I'm going to take my top with the cap on it, the black cap. I'm going to put the cap here. I'm going to turn this upside down and hold it very near the top. Okay, so I'm gripping it near the top, and then I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm going to, now I have both hands on it, boink, puncture it just like that. Okay, so now it's open, easy peasy. And let me get a paper towel and just wipe that off. So that's what I do to open them. Now, remember, the tip is already open here. So now I'm just going to, I start squeezing from the back end. All right. Squeeze from the back. Don't do like what I call a pencil grip, which is like this. If you hold it with a pencil grip, what's going to happen is it's going to get really skinny right here on the edge. And if it gets skinny on the edge and you're putting pressure on it, it can burst the side. This is a metal tube, okay? So the side can burst. You don't want that. So you want to come from the back and squeeze, and then use your other hand as your stabilizer. So, oh, this color is so beautiful. Like I said, it's kind of almost a bronzy look to it because it has kind of a green look to it. Let me bring that up so you can see it. Can you see that? It's kind of hard to see the color with the lighting, but you'll see when I put the other colors next to it. So that was the what's called pale gold. I love the way that it has that slight green tint to it. And then this is the regular gold. So let's squeeze out some of the, see how I'm using two hands? I call it a two-handed grip. Gives you a lot more control. There we go. And so I'll bring this up once I've put all three of the golds. Let's see if this one is open. This is the rich gold. Yes, it's open already. Now let's see if the tube is open, or if the tube is, when you leave it sit for a while, sometimes the tubes have some of the paint left in it, and then it can get dry in there. And it's very easy to get that dry paint out. You just unscrew the tip and throw it in some water. Like I have water over here. You would just throw it in water, let it soak for a while, run water through it. I put a pin through it, and it opens it right back up again. Okay. And so I have a big bag right here of tips where when I finish the whole tube, I save the top. You want to save the top, and that way you just throw it in some water, and then you have spare tips if you need them. You know, like you know how a cake baker will cut them to different shapes or different angles to get different size lines. You can do the same thing with these tips. Now, you can buy a set of replacement tips like this. So this is 6 replacement tips. And I always recommend when you're first starting out with these outliners to get yourself one set of spare tips. And after that, you won't need spare tips, because as you use the tubes, you'll save the tips, and then you'll have bags of them like I do. Here's this bag, there's that bag. I am good to go. All right, so let's squeeze this one. This is the rich gold. So successively, they're getting a little bit darker. And then let's do the copper. Copper. So there's the copper here. All right. Now, I've had students in my studio. It's like cake decorating for your walls. Exactly, critter chops. It's exactly like, the whole cake decorating thing. You're just squeezing a paste paint that dries very nicely. I mean, where is it? This one. I created this morning and it's already dry. So it's awesome. Awesome. Love this stuff. Of course, if I put it on significantly thicker by cutting that tip, it would it would take longer, especially in Florida where it's humid, right? But my students have been like, "Oh my gosh, how do you get such a straight line, or how do you get the line to go the way you want?" It takes some practice, so don't be hard on yourself if you try it the first time. And definitely having the grip of holding the back of it and squeezing, and then using the other hand to guide it is a real trick. Yeah, don't lick your fingers. Exactly. That's what Critter Job said. So true. Do not lick your fingers. Oh, okay. And notice that this is rolled up. You see how it's rolled up at the end? And I don't have an area here or here where it's split, right? Because I'm pushing from the bottom and I'm continuously rolling it as I use it. And that's how you get to use the entire tube, is if you're careful with that and you're making sure you're keeping this area full and just turning it. That's the nice thing about these being metal tubes, right? Okay, let me put out, this is something cool. It's a color called Imitation Lead. So again, if you wanted to put this on glass and have it look like uh, real stained glass, this is actually the color Imitation Lead. And I doubt that this tip is going to work. It looks like it's full. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, I was wrong. I've got a good tip here. Okay, so this one is actually, I'm going to bring this up close to you in a little bit so you can see. This one actually looks like liquid lead. It's cool. It's cool. Cool stuff. Okay. And then, of course, we've got black. Is this one open yet? Oh, yeah, it's open. Okay. Let's check this one out. Up here. I can feel that this is blocked a little bit because I'm having to squeeze harder than I should in order to get it out. So I'm actually going to take this tip off and I'm going to put it in water, blink, so that it can soak and get the crustiness off of there. Okay, so let me get another one here. Like I said, this is just from using other tubes, and I washed it out and it's ready to go. Okay, so this will be, yeah, way better, way better. Sometimes you have to use quite some pressure, and that's so if you have a problem with your hands and using your hands for pressure, it may not be a good use for you. As an alternative, though, you can put a thick paint into a tube. Like, I like these little squeeze bottles. So I have students that said that they couldn't squeeze hard enough for that small tip. It wasn't comfortable for them. So they literally just cut the top off and put the paint into one of these squeeze bottles, and then was able to squeeze on that plastic squeeze bottle more easily. But you don't get as much out because, of course, it's you can't be doing up the end. Okay, so that was the imitate. Let me see. Is the silver one open? Is it open? No. I probably have a silver one in here open already. Yes, I do. Okay. Let's see what the status is. So Critter Chops, that was the 37 milliliter. Oh, this one is pretty well used. Let's see what we can have here. This one I actually can see that I've cut the tip already. Yeah, let's see. Will it come out? It's coming out, but it's blocked. But it's good enough for me to be able to show you. So I'm going to roll up the bottom to be sure it's nice and full toward the top there. There we go. Silver. Okay. And, oh, what do I have here that I can give away? This one's called Vermeil. Let's see. I'm looking for one that's not open yet that I can ship to you. Okay, this one. That is another gold color that I forgot was even in here. Okay, this one says Vermeil. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, there's a nice sealed one. Okay, we'll make this a giveaway at the end. What's the drying time on these? Depends on the humidity where you are and how thick you squeeze it out. But if you squeeze it out the small end of the tube, like I have just done, and as I mentioned, this is going to be a giveaway. So let me set that aside. Bloop, right there. Um, so for these lines right here, that's the thickness straight out of the tube there. That was the imitation lead and the black and the silver, the copper, the rich gold, the regular gold, which just says gold, and then the pale gold. Um, these will be dry to the touch. Now, because it's raised up and it's thick, there's a difference between dry to the touch and completely dry. In other words, it's going to be dry to the touch in about a half an hour. So because I'm an impatient painter, I hate to wait. So I could start painting over top of it if that was my objective at that point. But if I wanted to make sure that it was completely dry, for me in Florida, these lines are going to take about 48 hours to completely dry all the way through, so they won't get crushed if something goes on top of them. Okay. Um, and it looks like there's one more called Vermeil Gold. That's the one that I found a spare, so I'm going to give that to somebody at the end of the show. Let's see. Ooh, see there with the tips. See why you need the spare tips? Let me show you. There's plenty of paint in there, and it's plenty soft. It just needs that fresh tip. That's all. So let me put this on there. And this was the Vermeil, which is also a warm gold. So it almost looks like brass. The one that says Vermeil gold, it looks kind of like a dark brass. Okay, let's do this. Then, so that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then there was the transparent and the transparent with glitter. That's 10. I thought there was one more. Oh, there's the white, y'all. Coveted. Coveted. Let me see. Oh, it's gorgeous. Okay. Oh, this makes me so happy. The white is stunning. Okay. That makes me very happy. The white is going to dry white. The one that says transparent on it is going to come out white, but it's going to dry clear. And then the one that says transparent with glitter is going to come out white, and it's going to dry clear and have all that glitter in it. So this one I had just squeezed, took the top off and squeezed it out. Remember how I said you can use a brush? Let me find a little brush here. Oh, I've been a bad artist. I've left my brushes in the water overnight. Hey, SNR Subway, welcome in over on YouTube. Okay, so here I have a nice damp brush, and here is the paint, and it has a beautiful thick consistency, and then I can just paint with it. So there you go, like that. So it's nice and thick, but don't hesitate to squeeze it out and paint with it, or squeeze it out and pick it up with a palette knife and put it through a stencil. And next week, my workshop is going to be called Stencil Heaven, and we're going to be playing with stencils. I'm going to show you a bunch of stencils. I'm going to give away some stencils from a friend of mine, Ed Roth. He owns Stencil One, a company called Stencil One. I've used his stencil for a million years, ever since he's come out with them, I think. He's based in New York City, and these are some of his stencils that I'm going to be giving away at the next workshop. So definitely bookmark that one. So you'll be here for some nice stencil giveaways. And so you can use this thick paint into a stencil with a palette knife as well, if that is a technique that you would like to try. Okay, let me, let's clean this up just a little bit here. I'm going to show you, I have a huge bin. Okay, this is, I absolutely cannot be without certain relief for my mixed media painting. And so this shows you the level of insanity that I have when it comes to using the CERN reliefs. Ooh, that's a nice one. That's a pale gold. Hey, let's do another giveaway. What the heck? Gold. This is probably the most requested besides the black. Ooh, do I have a black one? Let's do a giveaway right now. Why not? All right, y'all. I'm getting crazy today because, as you can see, I have a few. And rather than me making my own, like putting them in little containers like this, I just get the CERN relief and then I'm done. All right. So let's do a giveaway. What the heck? Let's give away the black one right now. So let me take a picture of that. Hold on just a moment. Let me bring this up here. And let's see, I want to add it on the fly, but I want to add it to the givey. So let's go to giveaway. Let's add it. Ooh, I'm so glad y'all are here to play with me. Take a photo. And there we go. We're going to take the photo of that. And what is it? It's Craft Supply. And it is a givey. Oops. Did I say it right? Sorry about that. It does take a minute, doesn't it, when you're adding something on the fly? But these have great value. Somebody's going to be like jumping up and down going, woohoo, I get my own tube. And then this is CERN Relief Black. And if you are on YouTube and you would like to participate in the giveaways, then just pop over to Whatnot. And you can be in the giveaways as well. Let's see, copy that. And then put it in the description. Yeah, they want you to put all this stuff in, which I understand, but here we go, how it works. It's going to be 1 to 3 ounces, and it's published. Let's go ahead and run it. Run it while I'm talking. Okay, so get in on the giveaway if you're here. That is for the black tube of CERN Relief. Let me make sure this one is not open. Hey, Fart Queen. That one is fresh. Remember how I showed you, and if you weren't here earlier to see how to open it, then just go back and watch it after the fact. You can either watch it on YouTube, my YouTube channel, or you can watch it under the live tab, or you can watch the show again on Whatnot after the show is over. It will save it to my past shows. Okay, so that's the black one we have right now. These are the biggest colors. In my opinion, when I've been to shows, these are the ones that sell the most, the black and the gold. But hey, there are a lot of nice looking colors in here. All right, let me have a sip of tea. And we will go to the next step. But let me bring these up closer again so you can see. There we are. Those outlines. All right, I'm setting this aside. Let's do this. Because if I leave those out, I'm telling you, I always end up like putting my elbow in it or something like that. Okay, so remember that I said that these paint like a sealed surface, right? So I have this little piece of wood right here. It's an 8-inch wood round. They fit perfectly into these. That's an 8-inch round frame, right? I love these little frames you can pick up online. And so what I've done is I've sealed it. And there are many different ways that you can seal it. What I did was I took what's called a clear gesso. So I took a clear gesso, and that is a primer, an acrylic primer, but it has no color in it. And I put that on the wood, to seal it because I want to work on top of the wood. Now the wood is porous, right? So you would not use this on the porous surface because if you rubbed against it, it could come off. All right. Um, but I, since I've sealed it, I wanted the grain of the wood to show. I thought the wood was so dang pretty. So what I want to do here is I want to create a sunflower. So I want to create something like that, but not quite that complicated because it takes too much time, doesn't it? So I'm going to use, let's see, one of the golds, maybe the rich gold for here. Now, let's see, there are two different kinds of sunflowers I could do. Let's do I'm going to do this, and I'm just going right onto the surface there. So what I'm actually doing is I'm going to create a part of a sunflower instead of the whole thing. And I want to take all right, where'd it go? There it is. So I'm going to take my palette knife, and instead of having it thick like this, which I could leave it just like that, but I'm actually going to draw it out just a little bit with my palette knife. So I get the gold going out from it a little bit. You can do this with a brush as well. Not a problem. Just for something fun. Okay, there. There we go. Now bear in mind when you work with these outliner paints that it's raised up off the surface. So if you go to put it into a frame that has a glass on the front, you're going to need a little spacer, right? Because the surface is not flat of your artwork. Okay, so that gave me an interesting little edge right there. Now on the inside here, what I want to do is I want to paint that with some paint. So let's see, what would be a good color inside there? One of my favorite colors is this. I have a whole drawer full of paints next to me right here. So normally I would do my lines and then I would wait and then I would paint. So that way I don't accidentally mess up my lines, but we don't have time for that right now. So I'm just going to put out a little bit of this fluorescent paint. And again, I'm going to grab that brush that I have there. I'm going to pick up some of that, and I'm just going to put that in here. I actually want this to be kind of green. So yes, you can paint right up to the edge. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm painting right up to the edge. And there we go. Now, what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to just sort of create a background color. And then I'm going to come back in with this sort of greenish, or I could come back in with black, probably with black in order to make dots on it. Okay. So I have a no paint left behind policy. So if you have leftover paint like I have right here, I just open my tube. Oh, who won the giveaway? Sorry, y'all. I was not paying attention. If someone knows who won the giveaway, can you put it in the comments? I'm like, geez, did it went already, didn't it? And I was yammering away and I didn't even see it. Let's see. If I go to, I don't even know how to look up the orders during the show. I'm looking just to see if there's any way for me to see. Crazy Junk Art. Okay. Awesome. Well, congrats, Crazy Junk Art. And thank you, Critter Chops. I do appreciate it. Thanks for letting me know. So I've got the tube. I'm tapping it on the table like this to get the paint to go down in. Now I'm squeezing the tube. Come on now. Paint, get down in there. We want to get a little bit of, look at that. It's so full that it is, oh, okay, it is just so full. And then I just let go of the tube and let it suck that little bit of paint back in there. But this tube is so full that it just doesn't want to do it. Okay, that's all right. It's a good thing to have a full tube of paint, right, y'all? Okay, so we've got that there. Now I'm going to Again, on the wood, I'm going to build the edges of the petals. So let me do the first petal here. I'm going to do it with two hands to guide it. All right. There's one petal right there. Now, if I make a mistake and I go, oh my gosh, I made a mistake, that's not right, what can I do? This is a sealed surface, remember? So I can just take a little bit of water on a paper towel. Let me get a fresh paper towel. Or you can use a Q-tip, like what the British call a cotton bud. You can do it with this also. Put a little bit of water on that. And then, so if I didn't like the way that end came out, remember this is already sealed. So I can just, while it's still wet, I can pick it up. Okay. And then correct what it is that I did wrong. Once it's dry, you can't do that anymore. But while it's wet, you can do that. You can also do more than one layer. So if you are creating those wells that Arthur Monk mentioned earlier on YouTube, then you can thicken up I've sometimes I go back 2 or 3 times to thicken up that wall in order to have a nice thick wall for holding in other paint. Okay, so then I can just go ahead and start where I left off and just hook right into there, and it repaired it. Sometimes I take the tip here and I go back and forth in an area to sort of smooth that area out. That's what I'm doing here, where I did the connection between the two, because this area is not dry yet, so I can go over it like that. All right, that's the first leaf. Let's do the second leaf over here. Nice. See how easy it is once you have learned how to hold it. Having the proper holding stance is right. Hey there, Crazy Junk Art said, thank you. You are welcome. It's my pleasure. But see how I'm squeezing from the back, and then periodically over top of my palette, I am squeezing this up and then turning here. That's how you're going to get to use all the paint in the tube. Plus, periodically, you have to clean off the tip to keep it flowing out nicely. So here we go. We'll do the next one. This is where my students would be like, Tristina, you're making it look so easy. It's not so easy. But practice makes perfect. Come on now. Okay, and then from here, I'm going to go like this. There's that one. Here, I'm going to go like this. And my mind just told me that I should put a bumblebee over here, which would be with, the black. But I'm not going to do that while we're doing this. That'll be off camera. Okay. And then here. Now what I'm doing is I'm touching the other. So when I make each one of these lines, I'm actually touching the previous line. And that seals that hole. It seals up between the two. That way I create the wells that we were talking about earlier, that if I wanted to, I could pour liquid paint into here, and everywhere where there's a sealed cell, where there's certain relief all the way around, it's going to hold that fluid paint in. Okay, there we go. So that's going to be the sunflower. And now what I do often is I will hold it up like, okay, let me see so you can see it. I hold it up at an angle like this, and I turn it, and I look at all the angles to see if there are any little bits sticking up, if there are areas where there's not enough, and then I can add more while it's still wet. I can add or take back. Like here, I'm repairing this little bit right here because there was a little tip sticking up. And if there's a little tip that sticks up like that, it's going to dry hard sticking up like that. And if you don't want it sticking up, you need to remove that while it's still wet. I'm going to take that little tip off of there. There we go. And then this part right here, which you may or may not be able to see here, let me turn it more at an angle, is very thin. So if I were going to fill this with a liquid paint, I would let the thin part dry and then come back and put another layer on top of it. All right, so I would let it dry for maybe 15-20 minutes and then come back and build up another layer there. Okay, so that is the basic. Now, this paint is most of the way dry, right? It's not completely, but enough to where we can work back into it. Now, before I seal this up with the cap, I'm going to wipe off the tip there. There we go. And then, so not that black, that's the black that was just won by Crazy Junk Art, right? I'm putting that aside for you. Woot, woot. Okay, so let's take this black right here, which is this one open? Yeah, that one was the one that was open. Okay, so let's go in here with the black, and I'm just going to create little circles. Come on now. When the tube is brand new, like it's super new, you can use the pencil grip, but then very quickly you have to go to the the end grip like this. Okay. So now this is where you can go in, and this is where people say, how the heck did you get those detail lines, you know, those little shapes? And it's using the small, tiny little tip that's on here. Now I'm not being careful, so I'm smushing some stuff. I'm not really worried about it. It's art. It's art, y'all. I'm a messy painter. I don't have to be like perfect when I do my art. I like the perfection of imperfection, and so I'm not being super careful. If I wanted to be super careful and putting these lines in, I would turn it and make sure that you know, every little side of the circle is going in the right direction. But here I'm just smushing it out. I'm not worried about it too much. So this is me creating, and afterwards, if I said, I don't really like the black, I want that to be a different color, you know, I can just paint right over top of it, right? Because it's just a dried, raised acrylic that you can paint right over top of, or an acrylic-like substance. Okay, so let me just finish this up. I'm making a mess, and that makes me very happy, right? Ah. Okay, sometimes when your lines are not coming out well, it's also because there's some, can you see there? There's some residual, and you want to constantly be wiping off the tip as you're working. Okay, so that's it for this one just for right now, because we want to set it aside and let it begin to dry. And then, of course, this would have, I would put some other, ooh, where am I? Off the screen. So for this, I would then put some other design over here, which I could either just paint on with a brush. I could use a stencil. I could use, I mean, there's just a million things I could do to put like a little bee or something like that over here. And like I said, if I don't like the texture that comes out with this, the color of the black, if I think, ooh, that black is a little too black, no worries. I can just paint right over top of it with acrylic paint. Now, this is a canvas panel, big old round canvas panel. This is a size 12 inch. And so the 12 inch, it comes already primed. So it has a canvas surface with the white priming on it. But I like to reprime my surfaces. I don't like to count on the manufacturer's priming. Okay. And, oh, so hold on a second. Wait a minute. I'm getting confused here as to which one is the open one and which one is the closed one. Okay, that's the open one. I got the closed one put away. Here we go. Now, what I wanted to show you was making an outline on here. And then, okay, let me make sure this is in frame. I want to be sure y'all can see this. Yes. Ah, okay, I'm getting it in the paint, which is typical. Okay, here. We will resolve that by going in here and wiping this up. Okay, there we go. Did I make a mess? Yeah, but you know, that's what happens. We're painting, right? Okay, and that's why I'm wearing an apron because I end up with paint everywhere. Okay, so now, and actually this is a finished piece of artwork, so I'm gonna move that out of the way so it doesn't get paint on it. What I want to do on here is where I had told you about doing a dragonfly. So hold on a moment. Let me get, these are, so what I do when I'm looking to create a design is I go out to the internet and I look for inspiration. So this is a Shutterstock image, which is a copyrighted image. Well, I'm not going to use a copyrighted image for that to directly transfer it, but I'm going to use the concept for that together with the concept of many other dragonflies that I've looked at online, or I can go to many different applications that have artificial intelligence and say, hey, show me some dragonflies. And then I work from those images in order to come up with ideas for an outliner. So I created a simplified outliner for myself of a dragonfly, and that's what we're going to put on here. And I'm going to use something called transfer paper. So if y'all are not familiar with that, this is a sampler pack from Saral. Saral is one brand of transfer paper. Notice it says wax free right there. So that's what you want. You want wax free transfer paper because you don't want the wax to get on your surface and cause it to resist. Now this comes off of a big old roll by a company called Jack Richardson. And I like the big roll because it's 18 or 24 inches long, and so I can work on larger pieces with it. And I'm going to put that, it has one side that's darker than the other. So this has graphite on it, and this side doesn't. And you put that down on your surface, and then you decide where you want to put it. Sounds like my headphones just died. So I'll turn off the air conditioner so you don't have to listen to all that. All right, hold on. Where is my headset? That's what I want to do is recharge these. Okay. So now, normally I would tape this down. So I would use some blue painter's tape and I would tape it in place right where I want it. Let's see, how far are we from the top? Let's bring you up just a little bit more. I want to be sure it's at least a 1/4 inch in from the edges because normally the frame will be about there. So here, here, like that. Okay, that looks like a good place. So now I'm going to take a pen, a regular old ballpoint pen, or you can use a pencil, and I'm going to go over my design. So I have this set down, so I've got the graphite part facing down on my surface. And then I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to do like an outline. Now those eyeballs weren't there, but I decided right now just to add them. Because it's my painting and I'm allowed to do that, right? Okay. So what this is going to do is this is going to put that image down on my surface here. It's hard for you to see it right now because it is a very light graphite, but this is the way that I like to transfer my images of my drawings onto a surface here. Okay, that's why I'm doing a simple one, so it'll only take a moment to make that happen. Let's do this. And you'll notice that sometimes I'm lifting up so I can see correctly, going in the different directions. Now, this is transferring graphite down onto the surface. So if I wanted to, I can erase the graphite if I feel like I need to change something. Okay. There we go. Like that side. You see why I picked a simple design, right? Because sometimes I can take a good, 20 minutes, a half an hour to make sure that I've got my transfer the way that I want it. And that's also why I often tape it down. I tape it down so that I can lift it up and look and possibly erase things and then put it back down in place and retrace if necessary. I'm not being perfect here. I don't need to be. There we go. Almost got it. Almost. So can you guess why I'm creating the lines? It is so that I can then go in. All right, let's make sure it all came through. Yep. Okay, now I'm going to show you up close and personal. So you can see what I like about the Jack Richardson is that it is very light. You see there how light that graphite is? If I use the Sorol paper, the one that I showed you just a second ago, where did I put the Sorol paper? Boop, 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 boop. Come on, Sorol paper. Okay. I'm only right here, and yet I've misplaced it. Okay. The other one, the other transfer paper I just showed you that said Sorol on it. Oh, here it is. The black of the Sorol paper is where it says graphite is quite dark. It gives you a much darker line. So when you're starting out, you may want to do that. But if you are transferring something and say you want to do a watercolor, then you want the lighter lines, not the heavier lines. But if I thought that something was not in the right place, oopsies, let's say that I made a mistake, I can erase this because it's just graphite on my surface. And then I can use a pencil lightly and come in here and fix that. Okay. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is so that I can then come in with lines. Now, what I can do here is I can paint with some transparent paint and then go back over top of it with the lines. So yes, there are acrylics that are and inks that are transparent. So let me find one here. Ta-da! So I've got a bunch of inks here. And there's a beautiful cyan color. It is transparent. Let's see, the magenta is transparent. This white is not transparent, right? There's a pretty orange, which is, I don't know if it's transparent. Let's just work with those two colors that I know for sure are transparent. Because then the lines will show through, right? And I'm going to put the ink in here. Let's do that. I'm gonna put it's very concentrated ink. You know, you can get acrylic inks that are quite concentrated, and then they'll say on them whether they're transparent or not. So I'm going to add some water to this to make it even more transparent. And then I'm going to grab a big old brush here. Oh, so pretty. Let's see if I can still see the lines through it. Yes and no. So I'm not going to do any more than that because I'm losing my lines. I can kind of see them, but the light is not as bright as normal here. Okay, I can kind of see the lines. So I'm going to put some more water on there to make it a little more transparent for me. Okay. So if it's very transparent, like here, I can still see the lines quite clearly. So this is where you would go over the lines with a pencil and make it a little bit darker. this. There we go. And I'm not worried about it because it's just another layer and I can fix the layers later, right? Okay, so where did my design go? There's some of it underneath here and underneath here. All right, you know what? I lost some of the design, so let's do it again. Where is the edge of that? I lost it. So I'm just going to do it again. And my pen went here. Make sure that's in the right place. Okay, well, actually, I'm not able to see it very well, so I am just going to eyeball it from this. So I'd recommend that you use a pencil and darken the lines, or use a marker like one of these, a micron pen, to darken the lines before you go on it, because it looked like this lifted it right up. But I will just wing it. So let's go ahead and draw this. I can see right now, I can still see some of this line here and here. And then, of course, I'm going to have the body coming down here like this. I'm just winging it, y'all. Winging it. Except I can see these wings right here. So they're going to be the basis for what I'm doing here. There we go. And then I have the body here. And this goes here. And then the head comes around here. Goes like that. And then we have the eyes here and here. I'm going to be painting that with acrylics, so that's why I'm not too worried. When you do these lines, don't worry, because you're just going to cover it over with acrylic paint. Or you're going to cover it over with one of these liners. So I'm just going to work with that half right now, because I'll have to look in the light when it's laid out to get the other half. And so whether it is graphite or whether it is a marker line like that, you can go over it using these tubes. So let's do that. I'm going to do the head in black. I'm going to do the body in black, and then I'll do the wings. Maybe I'll do the wings in silver, right? What do you think? If you have a color you want me to use for the wings, just let me know. I'm watching the chat. Watching. Okay, so here we go. Now I can tell that my tip is a little bit obscured, or what is that called? There's something in there, so I'm going to put a new tip on it. So silver sounds good. Okay, great. So let me get this. Yes. Oh, well, that's coming out heavy because it's cut. The tip is cut. So let's go with it. Let's go with the cut tip like that. So we get a lot more out. It's a little bit thicker. Why not? You're going to see here in just a second. And you may have to turn your artwork often to get the right angle for you to use to get the paint out of here. Now, remember I mentioned you have to constantly be wiping off that tip. Oh, yeah. So there you go. And then I'm going to move to a two-handed grip, because I can see I'm using the pencil grip, and I don't want to break the tube, right? I'm going to turn it. All right. It's coming out nice and thickly. So if you do have trouble with your hands and you can't get the thin lines, just cut that tip, and then you can get a lot more out more thickly, and it's a little bit easier that way. All right, let me just do the bottom of the body right here. Now you can do something else too, like see how I'm stopping periodically? If you stop and squeeze a little bit, what's going to happen is you're going to get this really cool, like beaded effect. Let me show you in just a moment when I get down here. So because I was stopping and continuing to squeeze, I got those little, what looks like little beads. So let's do it on this side as well. It's kind of tricky, you know, you have to turn it and then make sure you've got it going the right angle there. I have the face of a girl that I made, and I did a necklace on her by doing this exact same technique where I went a little ways and then I squeezed harder, and then I went a little ways and I squeezed harder, and I made these little, what look like little beads. So it looked like a necklace. Okay, let's grab the silver one like this. Oops, that's not the silver one. Where's the big old? This is the smaller silver one, but okay. So you're going to constantly be turning your artwork to get it at the right angle for your hands, okay? Oh, so pretty. And the nice thing is, if you've created an outline for yourself, you're literally just following the outline. Easy peasy. You do have to be aware of, you know, right hand, left hand, so that you don't squish your prior work, which I've done many times. But, you know, if you do squish your prior work, you just quickly clean it up. Just use that Q-tip or use a brush with some water on it. There you go. And now we had these lines here, didn't we? So let me see here. I had this coming from here. And I just went here like this. And then this came from over here. Like this. Now there are some breaks in the lines here, which I'm not too worried about because I can just go back and fix them. So you see how sometimes when you're squeezing it out, you get these little breaks, which if you're just putting it on top and you're not trying to fill it, it's fine. It's fine, right? Because that's just all part of the design. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. There we go. So there's part of that design. And then I do this. So when I'm doing it to use a brush and fill it in with a brush, I don't worry too much if I have a few skips. Now, if there are lots of skips, it's because one of two things. Either the tube here, the tip, has some paint that is stuck in it, and so it's making it difficult for the paint to flow out of the tube. Or the other thing is the tube could be, you know, 2 years old like this one is. And since this one is 2 years old, the paint has begun to thicken inside the tube. And so it skips sometimes. So normally I would normally just use this to put on with a brush. I would take this top off and then I would just brush it on wherever I wanted it and get a new fresh tube in order to get lines that weren't broken. So it just depends on what your application is. Okay. All right. So now what I wanted to show you was the transparent. See, now see how this line over here is very close to the body, and the body is not dry yet. So what I would normally do is set this aside, give it an hour or so, test it, make sure it's touch dry, you know, test it in a little place. And if it's touch dry, then I would come in and do this part right here. That way, if I made a mistake, it would be easy to clean it up and I wouldn't potentially mess up the black that's over here. So that's one of the tricks. So I would wait to do this piece right here. But what I wanted to show you right now was the transparent with glitter. So here's the transparent with glitter, and you can see that I've been squeezing it a lot and I haven't been rolling it. So right now I need to roll it. This has actually gotten thick because, again, this is about a 2-year-old tube as well. And so I noticed earlier when I was trying to squeeze it out, it didn't want to squeeze out very easily at all. Ugh. It's coming, but it barely is coming. So what's happened is this has, because it has been open, this has gotten dry. Not completely dry. I'm going to show you. You see the big blop that just came out there? So you see the big blop of paint? It's still good paint. It's just a little too, got too much body to come through this tip. If I cut the tip a little bit, it would probably come out better, but I have decided that I just want to use it with a brush instead. So I took it and I just added a little bit of water with my brush like this, because it's a water-based paint, and got that on my brush, and it has the beautiful beautiful glitter that's in it, and that's what I wanted to use on these wings, is some glitter. So normally I would have gone ahead and painted a darker color inside here. So I would have painted it a darker color so that when I put the glitter on it, the glitter really shows up well against a dark color, right? So let's see here. Normally I would wait for one layer to dry, and then you can even layer it up with a second layer. And when you do that, it makes it more glittery. Can you see the glitter in there? Oh, let's see if you can see it. Yes, you can see the glitter. Let me get some black. I have black. Yeah, this is my black mixed media paper. So let me put some glitter on that, because you might be able to see it better on a dark surface. Oh yeah. So the paint itself that was in the tube was going to dry clear, and the glitter that's in it is a blue-green. So can you see the glitter? Yeah, you can see the glitter. Okay, awesome. And I like to double or triple up the layers so that I get like incredible, like extra sparkle. And that is what I do for angel wings, or in this case, for the wings of this dragonfly. It'll give you that beautiful glitter. Yeah, it's beginning to dry now and really glittering up. But it works well against a dark color, so I would put a dark color inside there to do that. Let's go back to this one, because I'm constantly working on multiple pieces at the same time because they have to dry between layers, right? They have to dry in between what it is that I want to do. Now, this that I used as paint is wet, right? But once it's dry, it's permanent, and you can go back over it with any other acrylic paint. So don't worry about that. It's just another layer. It's easy to paint over top of. Okay, so this one right here it's touch dry, so I would be safe to use a brush and go inside these petals now. And what would I use inside there? A little bit of this and a little bit of this. Let's see. Let's see what we have. Love this fiery orange. So let's just do a little bit of this. Nope, that's not a good brush. Let me find a good brush. Oh, maybe this one. Notice I'm working on top of palette paper. So I like to work on palette paper with my acrylics because it just gives me the flexibility here of being able to put my paint out on it. You could use a piece of wax paper. These are throwaway sheets like this, and you can find that on my website. So then I would come in here and using acrylic paint, start to paint. Of course, like I said, if I had a fluid paint, then I could just, as long as my parts were connected and I had those wells sealed up, I could put the fluid paint in there and that would work. Now, as you paint, if a little bit of this paint gets onto here, I just use usually a damp finger and take it off like that. Or later, when this is all dry, there's just another layer. So later when I've built the colors up for my, right here in my petals, then I may go back and just put another layer of gold right over top of where this layer is. So as I said, that layer doesn't need to be that thick to begin with. It can be a little bit thinner if you're planning to do this, to fill it in with a layer and then come back later and put another layer on top. All right, any questions? Because that is it for the demonstration. What I normally do is I'll finish these artworks up and then they'll be available for me to show at the next workshop. Okay, so what we're going to do then is we're going to go ahead. It's just too much fun to play and paint, y'all. I have my work cut out for me to do the dragonfly. I'll finish the dragonfly and I'll do this and then I'll be able to show you next week. And next week we're going to be doing, I'll be showing you the stencils that I mentioned earlier. Great job. Thank you, Crazy Junk Art. I appreciate that.